Hi, how's it going? My name is Ian Lepkowski, and I'm here to recap Game of Thrones Season 7, Episode 4, The Spoils of War, in 5 minutes or less. The episode begins with Jaime and Bronn celebrating their victory at Highgarden. Bronn insists that it's about time he received the castle he was promised. However, Jaime reminds him that a Lannister will always repay his debts when he gets around to it. Cersei informs Tycho, the Iron Banker, that their debt payment will be arriving shortly now that Highgarden has been conquered. Delighted, he agrees to renew their line of credit. On Cersei's behalf, he agrees to contact an expensive mercenary army known as the Golden Company. Baelish presents Bran the Valyrian dagger known as the Cat's Paw that was used to make an assassination attempt on his life. This reminds us that we still don't know who hired the assassin and provided the dagger back in Season 1, which means that the person responsible for causing the chaos that led to the beheading of Ned Stark and the War of Five Kingdoms is unknown and could be anyone alive or possibly even already dead in the show. Lord Baelish talks to Bran about how he wishes to help during these chaotic times. But when Bran responds with the phrase, chaos is a ladder, the typically calm and collected Littlefinger is unsettled and confused. In Season 3, Episode 6, titled The Climb, chaos is a ladder is a phrase that Lord Baelish himself had used when discussing his scheming to control the realm with Varys. As Meera bids farewell to Bran, all he can say is thank you, which is polite but inadequate. It does not show Meera that he appreciates her brother and Hodor sacrificing their lives for him in addition to her own sacrifices. Regardless, the identity of Bran Stark is now a lone persona to the three-eyed raven who sees an infinity of memories and personalities within his mind. Before she leaves, they both acknowledge that Brandon Stark died in the three-eyed raven's cave. Arya Stark arrives at Winterfell and is escorted in after arguing for her identity at the door. Losing the guards, she makes her way to the Winterfell crypt where Sansa knows to find her. The sisters have an emotional reunion, then they grieve for their father and remember that they are his legacy, still alive to continue their family's story. While they don't have time for details, they acknowledge they both traveled roads of suffering to arrive at this current location. Then they leave the crypt to find Bran and form the perfect living Stark sibling trifecta. Bran shares the knowledge of his powers as Three-Eyed Raven with Arya as Sansa tries to help explain. Arya notices the cat's paw dagger Littlefinger gave Bran and he decides that she can keep it. He rationalizes that it's useless in the hands of a cripple. It's noted that Littlefinger doesn't typically give a gift without expecting a return, so it will be interesting to see what significance this dagger plays as we approach the series finale. At Dragonstone, Jon takes Daenerys into a cave to see the wealth of dragonglass, and while doing so, they see the ancient cave paintings and carvings of the Children of the Forest. The scene on the walls is interesting. It depicts the Children of the Forest and the First Men, two opposing forces uniting to fight the Night King and his White Walker army of the dead. In parallel, we consider the union of Jon and Daenerys to fight together, as well as to potentially bang together. I mean, come on. You remember the last time Jon Snow was in a cave with a girl, right? This is essentially his finishing move. Instead, Daenerys tells him she'll fight with the North when Jon bends the knee, and she throws back in his face the same line Jon threw at Mance Rayder in Season 5. Isn't their survival more important than your pride? Emerging from the cave, Daenerys is informed that the Casterly Rock plan did not work out so well. At this point, she's done with Tyrion and his failing plans to stop his family. Lady Olenna's parting words to Daenerys were to be a dragon, and Daenerys contemplates whether now is the time to do so. Arya collides with Brienne in the courtyard for an epic sword duel between two sword masters, leaving Sansa to realize she is now the least special Stark in the family. At Dragonstone, Jon runs into Theon and spares his life only because of his kindness to Sansa. When Theon asks for Daenerys, Jon explains that she's went out for a little excursion with the dragons. Finally, as we've been waiting to see since Season 1, Daenerys rides into battle in full glory, sitting atop Drogon's scaly neck. In brutal fashion, she incinerates the Lannister army, either setting them ablaze while their skin melts or instantly reducing them to ash. The scene is visually astonishing, a true masterpiece of magic and mayhem. As the decimation comes to a close, Bronn makes an attempt at taking down Drogon, but merely clips his shoulder instead. It's a meaningless wound unless Qyburn tipped the arrow with poison. But at least for now, Drogon is unaffected. Landing for a moment so that Daenerys can remove the arrow, Drogon accidentally leaves an opening for Jaime Lannister to charge. However, Jaime isn't quick enough. When Drogon turns his head, Jaime is nearly incinerated on the spot. But Bronn spears him into the river at the last second. Wow. What an episode. If you enjoyed this recap, then be sure to subscribe to this channel and check out our other Game of Thrones videos.